a senior mechanical engineering student at Wayne State University in downtown Detroit, Michigan, and in this video I'm going to just give a brief summary of current efforts being made to develop a more carbon neutral process in order to develop common compounds that are used in the world. Specifically, I'm looking at petrochemicals, which are compounds that are derived from petroleum, which are natural gas, which is made from hydrocarbons. Specifically, we take these hydrocarbons, we break them down into other elements of compounds such as hydrogen and carbon, and we stitch them back together to make whatever specific compound is desired. And some examples, tough plastics, paint, etc. So as mentioned, petroleum is made from hydrocarbon. Hydrocarbons are a carbon base with hydrogens attached to the carbon, which is sort of a spine in a sense, and we are breaking down these polymers into hydrogen, carbon monoxide, O2. Nitrogen is also another common one that is attached to hydrocarbons, and we're storing these and then using them to stitch together and create whatever unique compound you're aiming for, to create whatever material you're aiming for. So currently, lots of heat and pressure is used, and the form is powered by fossil fuels to break down the hydrocarbons into necessary building blocks. This is not a carbon neutral process. Not only are we using fossil fuels to power the process, we're breaking down fossil fuels. So it is a very carbon rich process. So the goal is to find an alternative that is more carbon neutral, and that would be a group of processes that fall under electrosynthesis, which aims to use electric resistance to heat up compounds and break them down into necessary building blocks. As mentioned before, these are processes that are either very low carbon or carbon neutral, and even can use some carbon dioxide waste and continue to break that down further to build up the building blocks needed. Another part of this is then to use renewable energy such as solar or wind in order to have a full carbon neutral process. So we're using we're breaking down chemicals into the necessary building blocks without producing CO2, and then we are also using energy that is carbon neutral. Now, there's going to be challenges with this, namely, as with many engineering applications, energy efficiency in terms of process is how much energy is going into the process, how much is being used to heat. Heat is the enemy, and it can be very difficult to avoid using energy to heat. Now, you want your energy to go into the process of breaking down the system together. And right now, there aren't very many processes that are consistently competitive to a fossil fuel powered process in terms of energy efficiency. Second one is affordable renewable energy. Well, renewable energy is becoming more and more affordable every day. It's still, in most cases, not as affordable as fossil fuels, and the accessibility of it can also be pretty limited. But the future is looking good for electrosynthesis and carbon neutrality. For these processes, there's big companies such as Chevron and Siemens working on developing processes that are energy efficient, as well as various startups. Some startups are seeing efficiencies as in the 80s and 90s, which is crazy good. And then the other part of the equation is affordable renewable energy, and solar has continued to drop rapidly in the past 10 years and will continue to do so. It's expected to drop by 50% by 2050. And it's the combination of these two things, having an energy efficient process where we don't lose energy heat. It goes into the process of breaking down the compounds and then stitching it back together, as well as using energy that is affordable but carbon neutral as an alternative to producing CO2 with fossil fuel powered processes, as well as fossil fuels as the derivative or the starting point of what we want, materials we're going for. Yeah, so if you want to read more about it, here's the article. It goes in much more detail. And thank you for your time.